everyone. Welcome to another awesome day of FileMaker training. I'm Richard Carlton, creator of FMtrain.tv, where every day we do great FileMaker training. So today is kind of an interesting Friday. We're doing air traffic control with all sorts of interesting things, and kind of what we call Dead Bird Friday. So kind of anything and everything goes. So if you have a question, definitely throw it out to us. We have one small new sample file that my team is trying to put together, but so far they have been unable to get it posted, so I'm not quite sure what they're doing. I will get an update for you on that shortly. Although we do have Andy here, but Margaret has to find the file, yes, and get that posted. So Andy, are you still here?
Yep.
What we're going to do is I'm going to start with Andy on a little sample file that he created. I'm pretty sure you could also do this with the Monkey Bread plugin, so I don't really want to get a tug of war with Christian Schmidt. I invited Christian Schmidt, who is here. Andy ended up using the Base Elements plugin. I think if you have the Base Elements plugin, you have the Monkey Bread plugin, and a couple things from 360 Works, you pretty much have almost everything you need to be awesome in the FileMaker platform. That's why we invite some of these folks here. So what we want to do is we're going to demo with Andy a little bit, and then we'll take more open questions and answers about whatever you're stuck on in the FileMaker platform. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize this for now. Andy, you want to show your screen? I haven't prepped you to show your screen. Are you prepared to show your screen, or would you like me to? Oh, actually, I don't have Base Elements installed. So do you have? Can you show your screen? Pretend it's a coaching session. You're going to coach us. So what are we doing here? What are you doing? So what does this do?
This combines two PDFs together.
Okay, now I need to ask the question. So we discussed this last night, but you're like, it combines two PDFs together. Okay, great. Except that FileMaker already has the ability to append PDF. So why wouldn't you just use that built in by itself?
So the FileMaker function append or save to PDF, which lets you append records to your PDF, only lets you select your FileMaker records. You can't choose an outside source.
Right. So the short version is what it is that if you do a print job in FileMaker and you print to PDF, basically, I don't call it print to PDF, save to PDF, but you're doing a print job, you're outputting to PDF. You have the option at the time you're outputting that PDF to append it to another PDF, right? If you just already have two PDFs and you just want to append them together, it really won't work because the append is a accessory to a print job. So you'd have to reprint something again, and then glue them together. So if you remember what Nick did with the videos we're talking about creating tables of contents about 2 or 3 weeks ago, it's a series of print jobs that keep appending to a PDF. So this is if you already have two containers and you want to combine them together. It's two separate containers that can contain a PDF, and you combine them together. So you want to walk us through this real quick?
Sure. So I have a little demo here, and I just have two PDFs. I got a PDF of Cabin and the Hobbs and a second PDF of ASCII table. So I'll run the script real quick. If you click here, and then it's going to ask me to save it. I'm just going to say save to desktop, and then open it up right away. So then here's my Cabin and the Hobbs, and then here's my ASCII table.
Okay. Cool.
It's a really simple script. It's literally a one-liner. Okay. And if you export, it's 2 lines.
Yeah, so once again, this is one of those kind of like tools. This one's created by the folks at Base Elements. Base Elements makes a really great utility for tearing apart a FileMaker file and finding non-functional scripts or broken scripts or non-reference items, things like that. So the Goya, like I said, I have 3 vendors that I really love in terms of the FileMaker community that make great products. I got Goya, which are based in Australia. That's Nick Orr. Really kind of a likable guy. Then you got Christian Schmidt, who's on with us now, kind of a dry sense of humor. Initially, I thought he had no sense of humor, and then I realized it actually was just very dry humor, for those of you who know what that is, right? And he makes the Monkey Bread plugin. Fantastic plugin. We talked about that 2 days ago, and we'll talk about it next week again, and we can even talk about it today if someone asks a question where we need that. And then, of course, 360 Works has various products, including a couple free ones too. So if you bring these companies into your quiver, your arsenal of arrows, right? So if you're an archer and you're shooting arrows, right, you want to have a quiver full of 360 base elements, or the Goya, and also the monkey bread arrows in there, so you can fire and hit anything you need in the FileMaker platform. These products really extend the platform. There is sometimes some overlap. I'm almost positive that the monkey bread plugin will probably combine 2 PDFs together too, right? So Christian, are you there? Christian Schmidt.
Yeah, I'm here.
So your monkey bread plugin would probably do this as well, I would assume, yes?
Yeah, we have PDF kit functions to do it on Mac and iOS, and we have the Dyna PDF functions for cross-platform things.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. So it's
and we can.
Oh, go ahead.
And I want to explain there's a little difference between, well, merging and merging. You can just take the content of PDF pages and put them together in a new PDF, but we also have the option to eliminate duplicate stuff. Like if you use the same fonts, same pictures in 2 PDF pages, we can detect that and replace them as reference, and you get a smaller PDF.
Yeah, there's all sorts of PDF optimization reference routines. We talked about this 2 days ago. It's a really good web live stream. If you're watching this recording or whatever, go back and check that recording. It's really good. But there's Christian probably has 20 or 30 functions that are PDF related at least, and a lot of which has to do with, like, you kick out a PDF, it's really big, it's fat, it's hundreds of megabytes or whatever. You put it on a diet. Some of us could use, and what ends up happening is that you end up with a much smaller file that you can email, right? Which is a really great thing. So he's referencing that. So there was a question by user Mac. It's a correction. This is the question that came up out of the blue. I want a found set of a single field exported to a text file with a bit of text added to the first of that text export and a bit of text at the end. So you want to, what's the file, the file format going to be? It's an Excel file or a PDF, user Mac? What are you looking for there? So, because you could export the data as a PDF and then do then you could have a PDF. You could export a block of text. I mean, you see this being done. Christian could tell you 3 or 4 different ways of doing it, right? Export the opening piece, the records, and the trailing piece, combine 3 together. Just one way of doing it, right?
Yeah, I could think about several ways. The first thing is you could assemble the new text in a global field and just export that, or use the FileMaker 19 or what file functions to open the file, write some text in it, then write the file content, the field content, and then the text after it.
Yeah. So just being the kind of person that I am, because because Christian is a misleading kind of individual because he knows every function in his product, 6,000 functions. If it was me, I would output 3 PDFs and then combine them with either base elements or the monkey bread plugin. That's assuming you want a PDF. If you want to Excel, well, you say it's a text file. Yeah, so you could export. If the person wants a text file, like a TXT, like a legit text file, Christian, how would you do that? Same way?
Yeah, that's what I just suggested.
Okay, I didn't understand that. I was thinking about
just
PDF.
Assemble the text you want maybe in a global field or so, and then export it with the built-in functions.
Yeah, FileMaker does have the ability to read and write text fields, and started in 18 or 19. So yeah, JSON and text, right? Yeah, so that's how you would solve that problem. So Christian, if you want to, yeah, that's a good one. So that's a good question. So how do you manage a text file like that? A couple different ways, once again. All right, so other questions from the YouTube people or Twitch people? Make sure you ask questions about this. Margaret, did we get the sample file from today? So you need to make sure that you go and download the base elements plugin. It's a free plugin, and so it does have some handy stuff in it. It's for the most part, it does its own thing. Monkey Bread does its own thing. They generally do different things, but every once in a while there is an overlap. So once again, it's up to everyone to figure out what tool is right for them. But free is always nice, but Monkey Bread is worth it, worth the money. RCC has a license for it. We use it. So, other questions from NC Gadidi Jericho. What are you folks working on day to day on your FileMaker solution? Canberra 57, you're retired. I'm not sure you count. It's like when someone retires and they're on a boat in the water at the lake enjoying retirement. What FileMaker file are you working on? None. I'm not working on nothing. You're open to do it all from within FileMaker. Okay, if you want to do it all within FileMaker without a plugin, you're going to have to use the file. So Miles and I shot a live stream, if someone can find it, on the text. Basically, text manipulation functions or text functions, script steps, script steps. I think they were 18, but I didn't play with them until 19. So when we, for example, pop open our video player, right? So we're doing our video player thing. Over here we have this video player. You open it up, it has your license key and all this other information in here. From one update to the next update of the video player, we don't want you to re-input all the license keys. So we actually save it on the person's computer. So if I drill down here into documents or wherever it's at, documents, right here, these two files right here. Let me zoom in on this. So we write these two text files out of FileMaker, right? So this is the notes that you may have written about the video, and this is a text field here, and it contains a license key on here. It contains the fact that the status is active and when it expires. So obviously this license key will have to be fuzzed out or removed since it's a real license key, but you get the idea, right? And so normally this would be your license key, right? Not someone else's. And so having it on the computer is not really a secret. Someone said, should we encrypt this and should it be encrypted? It's like, there's nothing in here that's secret that someone might get the video training for free if they stole your computer or something. I mean, that's really such a weird case. Yeah. So, but if you had very secret information in here, yeah, you might want to encrypt that. And there are encryption functions in FileMaker, but we chose not to encrypt it because we were troubleshooting it. We wanted to see what it was saying, what it was doing. And so we have the ability to manage text files, create the file, edit the delete it, edit, add to it, whatever you want to do to it. We cover that in a live stream. So if we can find that, that would be good. And then, of course, once again, other ways of doing it would be with the plugin. Yeah, use the file functions, create the file, open it, write the text, and close it. Yeah, so we did a live stream where we talked about this. There's a couple things in the way that FileMaker works with the file editing functions when it's saving to a text file. You open it up, and FileMaker can have up to 25 text files that are open at one time. And when you tell it to open it up, you're going to identify the file. It's going to give you that file, that slot number 1 through 25. And most people, when they first see it, think that they specify the slot. Well, it's going to be slot 1, this will be slot 2. And it'll kind of work until it gets out of sequence and then it quits working. You don't know why. It's because FileMaker will be telling you don't specify it, right? It's one of those weird deals where it comes back with kind of a response and you need to keep track of that. The video player take apart. Yeah, Ken, that was probably a big chunk of it. We did the video player take apart, but then we also talked about, I think, a dedicated, we have a demo file where we talked about it called file control. You might want to do a search for file control as well. So, question from Michelle Gravel. I have a temp file with 200 records, 150 fields, so it's not that big. I need to purge the data. I delete the records and recreate them after. Is there a better way to purge the file? Okay, so there is a function called truncate, or a script step called truncate. Truncate blows out a table, not a file, blows out a table, and it just zeroes it out. It gets rid of the index, it gets rid of everything, but it doesn't run around and notify all the other related tables. So if you have other tables that are dependent upon it, maybe those tables had a calculation that we're reading into it. The truncate doesn't do a lot of like cleanup and telling other related tables that the data has been blown out. It just blows it out safely, zeroes out the index, zeroes out at zero found set. It's called truncate. Okay, kicks ass. It's really good. But you, as an adult as an adult in the room, right? You're going to want to make sure that you think about the implication of suddenly all the data's gone. Are there other dependencies on it, on that data that will cause problems for you? I would truncate. So when we do a reset on, like we have this reset in starting point, I think we do a truncate on the tables or something, right? I think we do a truncate. We truncate almost all of them except for the prefs table because we need that, or that prefs record. So yeah, that's why we use truncate. Pretty good stuff. In fact, I can bring it up for you real quick. Christian Schmidt, you want to say anything about truncate?
Yeah, it can be amazingly faster. So it doesn't have to verify each record whether you can delete it or on this. There's a calculation you can have for deciding if a record is allowed to delete.
Yeah. So
if
yes.
you have permissions for the table, that will just clear it.
Yeah, so it
And
does
that's much faster.
It doesn't do a bunch of security. It doesn't do a bunch of security checks on it. So once again, yeah. So if you have access to the table, it's not going to do record level checking on it. It's the whole point. That's what makes delete slow. It does a lot of janitorial cleanup work that goes on, sweeping the floors, washing the windows, fixing everything. Truncate is literally like a nuclear bomb that goes off on a table, and it radiates everything, kills it. Right? Yes.
Well, if you have a loop deleting all the records, it would have to update the indexes for each delete. What really makes it slow.
Yeah. So it doesn't bother to when you run a delete record, deletes the index, and then makes a note about that. It just blows everything out and zeroes it out, which is really quite fast. So if I create a new script over here, I zoom in a little bit. I'm going to say, I'll call it truncate, I guess, something like that. Come over here and I decide I want to run a truncate. There it is. You're going to identify the table that you're going to want to run against. Say you're going to run against that. And then dialog on or off, whatever the dialog is. Maybe you're sure you really want to do this. There's no undo for this, right? So that is the way you would do that. Cool. Truncate all is when SQL DB admins get very nervous. Yeah, Ruben, you're the SQL guy here. You're the Oracle guy, right? So truncate all, I don't think is, maybe it's a thing for you folks. Yeah, we don't have that. We just have a truncate at a table level. You have a truncate all? That's interesting. But yeah, blowing stuff up. You got to make sure that there's a plan for this and you have good backups, right? Good backups along the way. Andy, if you need to eject, feel free, okay?
All right, sounds good.
You got a coaching session. He's off to a coaching session. Off he goes. So Michelle Gravel, did we answer your question, right? So, oh, there it is. File control, script steps, file control. So it's, well, it's in the FileMaker 19 video course. It's definitely there. So if you have our paid training video course, we definitely recommend that we would cover it there as well. So once again, as a reminder, I didn't really cover it too much today, but we do have the upcoming live stream broadcast. So let me spend a moment and cover some of the upcoming stuff. So real quick, today is Dead Bird. Monday is going to be Calvin with add-ons, more add-ons you haven't seen before. And then those add-ons, plus all the ones he's had for the last couple month or so, are going to be loaded into a new version of the Wolfpack, and the Wolfpack will be released on Monday with that. Then we're going to bring Ryan in on Tuesday. Should be interesting. We're going to talk about Claris licensing, which generally is better than it used to be, but it's still kind of a little kind of squirrely. So that's interesting. Then Christian Schmidt, the really good-looking guy that's over here. See this guy up here? That's him. He is going to be back on Wednesday talking about, what are we doing? More functions on Wednesday?
Let the people tell you what they want to see.
Okay, well then they need to tell us.
JavaScript, web viewer, whatever.
Yeah, what do you want to see? So that would be a really, let us know, because there's a lot of stuff in there. So what tools, what things do you need to learn how to do that you don't know how to do? And we can probably customize that conversation. Just please send me an email to support RC Consulting. Say, I want Christian Schmidt to show me blah, right? Because if he shows you that and you find it valuable, then the idea is that you would go spend $100 or whatever it is, $200 on his plugin, right? Are you doing any GIS coordinates mapping on there? The GIS, is that, if I say GIS, does that make sense to you?
We can show the Apple maps on a layout, and we can look up coordinates for an address, add the points to the map, show a route. So you can visualize where your customers are.
Okay. let's take a look at that comment real quick. So it's down here. So real quick, the file control videos, if you want to do the native file control, this is for user Mac. They're in our video training course, right? We recommend check out our video training course on that. And in here, Monkey Bread, we have maps. He's talking about maps. I'm assuming the maps are, there's the original. So there's some pretty, let me move him out of the way. Nope, your face is in the way. There we go. All right, so there's, so you can, so what about, okay, so here's a common request. I've had engineers solve this in different ways. They have 8 stops to make. So a service vehicle has to make 8 stops. How do we route the best way to go from stop 1 to stop 2 to stop 3? So we don't like zigzag back and forth on the map. We kind of do some sort of like route or something. Have you done that?
Yeah, we have played with that. There's a web service with, I think, Google Maps to do that. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, if you just have 8, you may just try them all.
Okay.
Just try all the combinations. I mean, it's not that many.
Well, actually, there's services that will give you the shortest track for that, right? So
yeah, as I said, there's Google Maps has a web service for that.
Yeah, we've used a couple different companies. Google's gotten a little better about their API. At one point, they were trying to charge a lot of money for basic API usage, and it was really, the legal licensing was really kind of questionable. But yeah, we can talk about maps next week if you want to do that. So okay, so moving along. So the broadcast next week, then Thursday is an interesting day. I guarantee most people have never seen what we're going to do on Thursday. Probably, maybe Christian Schmidt has seen it or thought about it. But if you have a FileMaker file running on a FileMaker server, primarily what we think about Cloud One, and you have lost your ear password, which is the encryption password, but you have administrative level access to the file. When that service goes away, which it will go away in January of next year, you're going to permanently lose access to your FileMaker file. You must have the ear password. If you don't have it, you're screwed. You cannot be hacked or retrieved, okay? Except by maybe a official investigation by the U.S. government using supercomputers to break into it. So we have an interesting way. It's part of a kind of what we call a preview feature of Claris. Once again, this is their XML technology where you create add-ons. And the add-ons, once again, the whole idea behind the XML and the add-ons is the ability to take a FileMaker file and perfectly describe it with perfect fidelity. I choose that word very carefully. Take it and describe it in XML, in code. And so you take a FileMaker file, you export as code. If you take the code and read it back in, it perfectly reproduces the file. Claris is working on this. It's not final. It's not finished. It mostly works. It doesn't do certain things, like it doesn't perfectly create the privileges and the accounts, right? Passwords, things like that. So if you bring it back and try to rebuild the file, it's missing certain things. However, in a crisis, it is a really good tool to basically get the schema of a FileMaker file, most of it, with very few little errors in it, and get that off the server without an error password, and then export the data out before you lose access to it. So it's kind of what we call an emergency transport, right? So if you're in Star Trek, if you're not a Star Trek person, then what I'm saying to you doesn't make any sense. But if you're being surrounded by the Indians and you're about to die, and you say you need an emergency transport, and they beam your ass out of there, okay? That's what this is an emergency transport. And is it perfect? No. It's like if I beamed you up, and then if I beam Christian up from Germany to California here, and he's missing his left ear and half of his right finger. He would be happy he's alive, but he'd be pissed he's missing an ear and a finger. He's missing those pieces because this technology is not finalized yet. It's not certified yet. It's not still in what we call preview. But it really kicks ass. So we're very excited about it. So this is an emergency transport, and you're only going to call for this if you're desperate, right? So, so to be clear, the ear password equals the admin password. That is wrong. That is beyond wrong, okay? The ear password is encryption at rest. For those of you who have not seen this, I will cover it real quick for you here. I'm going to minimize this. Christian's still there. So the encryption at rest is so the FileMaker file. Okay, so let me revert all. This is a FileMaker file right here. I'm going to zoom in on this. We'll just play with the light one. This FileMaker file is not encrypted, which means that you can open it up in a text editor and you can get little bits of text out of it, and you could actually probably break into it and read all the data out of it. Even if you don't have the username and password, you can still open up the file and see the bits inside. It's not encrypted. So if someone physically gets your file and you don't have ear encryption on it, you're screwed. They can get into the file. Okay, if they get physical access to the file. Okay, so what we do is you go into FileMaker. I'm going to pop this over here. I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to say, where is it? Tools. Tools. I want to do developer utilities. I haven't done this in a long time. So you go so the file is not open. The file should not be open. Developer utilities. Okay. You're going to say add a file. So you're going to target a file that you want to work on. Okay. We haven't talked. That's actually, we should probably break into that. I'm going to do this quick. We will do another live stream on developer utilities. That's a good topic for Margaret to do. So I'm going to go over here to starting point 20 right here. I'm going to go to light right here. So we have the file in here. So we've identified a file that we want to do things to. Okay. And then we're going to specify, well, it's going to save it. So it's going to, FileMaker's going to take the file, it's going to do some things to it, and it's going to save a new copy. So when we're done with this process, you'll still have the original, which is untouched, and you'll have this new one, which has like extra features, okay? And so I'm going to target it to the desktop. I'll say new FMSP. Oh, I tried that. Create folder. New FMSP, okay. And you hit create, so it's going to choose that folder right there. Now we say, what are the things that we can do to it? Like, what are the cool things? We've identified the file. We're telling it where it's going to save it to. What can we do to it? Now in here, this is super important. This is where there used to be build me a runtime. I want a runtime version. People are like, I'm doing runtime. I love runtime, right? And then no one actually ever, Claire's never made much money on the runtime. They had to support it, maintenance, things like that, drove them nuts. And the developers all say, oh yeah, we buy a lot of FileMaker. They didn't really buy a lot of FileMaker. Claire's did surveys on this and found that the people who use runtimes never really upgrade their customers to the full version. And so it goes back to, I talk about this in our videos, anytime you have a business relationship between two parties and one party's getting screwed, you should be concerned about that. You want both parties to make money on this. So it's like, haha, I'm getting free software from that company. Well, how long is that company going to be incentivized to do things for you for free if they don't get anything out of it, okay? Well, Claire's didn't get much out of this, not enough to justify the cost, so they removed it, okay? These are the options that are in here. The runtime is no longer in here. You can remove access to the files permanently. Right? This is basically when we give away our launcher file, people say, I want to take your video player. I want to take your video player apart. We have locked it down. We removed the admin access. You can't, because the admin account has physically been removed from the file, even if you had all the passwords, you can't get into the layout mode and the scripts and the field definitions. But it's not unwindable. It's like a permanent, like if I chopped off both of Christian Schmidt's arms, they're not going to grow back. Okay, and he'd be really mad about it, but it would be permanent. That's what this is. This is it chops off the arms, so the file can only be used in browse mode, and find mode, and preview mode. There's no layout, no scripts, so you can use scripts, but you can't define new ones. Kiosk mode is where they hide the stuff at the top. Database down here at the bottom. Let's see, database must use FileMaker extension. Create error log for that. Right here, encryption at rest. Enable enable database encryption, okay? Claire's called this encryption at rest, and somewhere along the line, they use the term, they now call it enabled database encryption, which is really stupid because Claire's has at least 4 areas of encryption in their product line, right? This is just one of them. So enable the database encryption. All right, which of the 4? Well, encryption at rest is when the file is sitting at rest over here and it's not running, it's still encrypted, okay? That's not SSL, that's not field level encryption. That's not usernames and passwords on front of the file. That's not, all this other stuff that goes into it. That's encrypted at rest, EAR. It's a standardized term. So there is no unwind for this. If I do this, I say enable encryption at rest. I'm going to do this right here. It's going to automatically turn on logs. It's going to want this ID key right here. Shared ID. I'm not going to get into that right now. FileMaker account. So I'm going to specify, it's probably admin, no password on the sample file here. And then the encryption password, okay? This is what I tell you. Write it down on a Post-it note, save it to you, just glue it on the front of your computer. And people say, I'm outraged, you can't do that. Okay, but these are all the people who lose that password. And they come back years later and they're screwed. There's no one due for this. So I'm going to call it TK with a capital 55678. So TK 55678. Okay, there you go. With a hint, he's the moderator, right? Or one of the first moderators, right? I say, okay. I say, okay. And then I say, go do it, right? So create. So it's like, and then ding, it comes out of the toaster, right? And what you have is a file over here. And when you open it up, you'll double click it, you open it up over here. Oh, that's that one. Where'd the other one go? I said new. Do I not see it? Where'd it go? Hello? I'm missing it. There's Christian. Hi, Christian. Oh, you're wearing your Star Trek jacket. What a good, is that Captain Picard's jacket? I am jealous. I want that jacket. If you bring that to the United States, you're not going to be going home with it. All right, where'd the file go? What's that? Oh, here it is, right here. I found it. There it is. 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 I found it right here. There it is. Oh, thank you. All right, so I open it up. This is the file that we encrypted. And before you even enter your username and password, it wants your encryption password. So if you don't know what this is, you could never get into it ever, 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 ever. It's encrypted to like Department of Defense level security. So I think it was, so I double click it, TK55678, it opens. Then it would ask you for the normal username and password. Okay, so this is the ear password for those who don't understand this, okay? It's with the FileMaker server, you're going to give this to your FileMaker server once, and it will remember it generally, right? FileMaker Cloud, FileMaker server, right? Ear. Have you had any customers lose their ear password, Christian?
I don't know. No, this should not happen.
Okay. Okay. I don't know if he understood my question or he just doesn't want to say that some of his customers are
Well, just take a book in your some book like a Bible or whatever. Take a random page, write it down, the password, put it back in the back bookshelf. Nobody will find it.
Yeah. So he's telling you not to lose it, right? So on a server, every client has to type the ear. So really good, really great question. So Moki, when you open the FileMaker server, I could do it for you. When you put the file on the server and you open the first time, the server is going to pop a special dialog and it's going to say, what is the database encryption ear password, whatever. You're going to put it in once. There's a checkbox to save it on the server. The server then has it. It's buried. It's encrypted on the server. And that's what people are running into with Cloud One. They put it on the server. They posted the file on the server. They even gave themselves hits. And then they didn't write it down because how important could it possibly be? Then 3 or 4 years later, 5 years later, Claris is going to discontinue the service. People cannot get their stuff off there. And Claris said, well, we warned them. We warned them. Okay, well, you warned them, and now they're pissed off with you and your product. So what this webinar is on is how to do an emergency transport. So if you can get into the file as an administrator, remember, the server does the ear, then it makes it available to everyone. The point of ear is that if someone gets the file, like gets it off the server or off your hard drive, they have it on a thumb drive, okay? Then it's protected. That's what ear is for. So normally you just tell the server how to auto open it, and then you use your normal credentials to manage it beyond that. So it's a whole level of security above and over the normal security that we've dealt with, right? Makes sense? So Claris is discontinuing. Okay, so we've talked about this at great length. I'm going to cover this. This is a good Friday question. Moki, I'm glad you're asking me this stuff. So if it feels like you're asking dumb questions, if you're here every day, all the time, yeah, most of you should know this, but if you're not paying attention, that's fine. So what I'm going to do is Claris.com, right? So there's this company called Claris, and they have like a promotion about dogs, right? And camels and stuff, okay? And then, so what I do is I recommend you have this Claris Cloud over here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Claris, and I'm going to say resources, and what I want is the documentation section, browse documentation. So this is what I want to show you, okay? FileMaker Pro 19, Claris Cloud right here, 2. Okay, there is a 1. There's a 1.18, and then they went to 2. There's a 2.18 and a 2.19. The version 1 product is being discontinued. See all these 2s in here? Version 1 is being discontinued, okay? If you're not aware of it or you weren't using it, it doesn't matter to you. But if you but the same issue occurs if you put a FileMaker file or database on a server, you tell the server the year password, you forget the year password, then it has to stay on that server forever, and you can never change your server, okay? Because no one else knows the password. The server knows the password, but it's not going to give it to you. It's not allowed to give the password away with Cloud 1. So does that make sense, right? So we're good on this? I would stick it somewhere, because if you don't have it, then eventually you're going to lose your file. So the idea for all of you, now that we understand the problem, is that we have a customer, actually 2 or 3 customers. Actually, we had a list of customers who we were checking with them, didn't have their password. We set up the server for them. They actually posted the file on the server themselves. We were not involved with that, so they had the error password. They didn't write it down. But we have 1 customer in this group. 3 of them went out of business or are gone. 1 of which found the password or whatever, doesn't want to ever talk to us, which is fine. And 1 customer who goes, "Yeah, we love you, Richard. What do we do?" And so they had a hint. The hint was something about diamonds, like diamonds on a ring or something, diamond password, okay? And that's not a password I use. I'd use like a TK Beaver password or some sort of password, right? And so I had no idea. So they tried like 50 or 60 combinations, gave up. So we have the emergency transport. Enterprise, I'm surrounded by aliens. I'm about to die. Transport me up now. Sir, I don't know it's going to work. Just do it. And it gets back to the artwork that Ellen drew for me one time, and they beam up the pig in the one movie, and it turns it inside out and explodes, which is really funny. It's Galaxy Quest. One of the funniest movies, another great movie. Funny, very funny. So yeah, so you have to have an administrative code to get in the file, so you can still work on the file, define fields, run scripts, all that kind of stuff, work on layouts, but you don't have the error password. This is a function that allows you to try to mostly get your file off the server. And it's using this emergency transport function. Any questions about errors? Any question for Christian Smith? He took his time here. Labo 404, Captain Smith, is a good way to show option for printing 10 PDFs in a container. I use command now. He's asking for a good way to show option one time for, okay, I'm going to copy and paste this so you folks can read what he's, Labo 404. If you want to try to rephrase that slightly for us, that would be great. A good way to show options one time for printing 10 PDFs in a container. Just a looping script, append it 10 times. Christian, you see that?
You could make 1 PDF, of course, or you can just print 1 time with dialog and 9 times without dialog.
All right, well, it's kind of a Friday. It's kind of the end of the hour. I want to highly recommend, for those of you who don't know this, the Monkey Bread plugin. So I'm going to go to the Monkey. I need to cue this in. I need to put our main sponsors, although he's not really a sponsor, but he's kind of a sponsor almost. He shows up and he helps. That makes him kind of a sponsor. So what I want to do is put a button in here, and it pops up the Monkey Bread website, right? So we go to Monkey Bread. There it is, Monkey Bread software, right? There it is. And then so it's pretty awesome. You can check out their products. I highly recommend them. 2 days ago, we covered the Dyna PDF. It's a library that you can purchase one time and load it in there, and it does some amazing stuff. A lot of you want to do PDF stuff. When a customer says, I want all this stuff, just tell them that they get FileMaker, but they're going to spend a couple bucks to save time on it, right? So that would be great. Future topic request from Alpha Coburn 73, how to protect against cyber ransomware threats, specifically AWS and server files, perhaps being discussed, okay? One of the ideas is to run your updates, your critical updates. The next one is to not use password 12345. We had a customer who was ransomwared like that. They didn't run updates, and they had that password. And then about 6 years ago, FedEx was ransomware. They called me in a panic. I said, delete, format the hard drive, rebuild the server. Like literally format, or just light the server on fire and buy a new server, right? And they're like, well, the database is locked. I said, well, you have backups, right? And you hear this, So what I want to do is Alpha Cobra, and I'm going to get Jesse, Margaret will get Jesse Barnum into a broadcast on a safety net product, because he's updated the safety net with ransomware specific protections. Okay. And
well, if you use stuff like Windows, you may switch to a Mac and be safer instantly, or you may go, if you use Microsoft Office, you may disable all the scripting stuff.
Yeah, there's
because a lot of attacks are coming with the scripting engine there.
On Office?
Yeah, well, people get an email with an Excel document as an attachment, they double click it, Excel tells them to enable scripting, and then within a second they got a Trojan horse installed.
Okay, that's not good. So, yeah, we'll have to bring that up and talk about that. Well, sounds like you know quite a bit about that. Jacob Taylor knows quite a bit about it too. We'll have to do that. And then Michelle Gravel, definitely doing the developer utility, spending some time on that. That would be good. So the upcoming broadcast schedule, real quick, one more time, is that add-ons on Monday, FileMaker licensing, kind of a licensing conversation on Tuesday. Official Claris representative will be joining us here to answer any questions about licensing that are unsavory or bad answers. That way I don't have to say anything that people don't like. I want to be everyone's friend. I don't want people to be mad at me. And then we have Christian Schmidt from Monkey Bread next week on various functions. I'm taking suggested maps. Ellen, can you come next Wednesday? And if so, what would you like to see? What thing in FileMaker would you like to see solved, right? Moki, you're a question asking kind of person. What other questions, right? Scott Kane says maps. Okay. Ellen, what do you have? Okay, well, Moki, just start writing the questions out, okay? Like literally just start writing them out. Wham, even in here. Because Margaret, our official scheduling person, is over here, and she can get it scheduled up, right? Why all the MBS functions are not listed in FileMaker? Hey, so I'm not totally...
Could you imagine the script calculation dialog to have 6,000 entries in addition?
Yeah, so he has 6,000 functions in there, and if you had to have the list of 6,000, it might be a bit much. So it's one of those things that sounds good until you get it, and then you realize you asked for too much. Okay, so that's why, listen, Monkey Bread is not a small little thing. It doesn't cost very much for what it does. For what it does, it's really cheap. It's amazing. It's awesome. But it has 6,500 functions, and you're not having a list like that in the calculation engine would be very difficult. It'd be a lot. So he says he always has a website to find something. He always has to use a website. So yeah, I don't know how much you have suggestions on that, how to best find. How is the best way to find that feature in your plugin? How does he do that?
You could think about which topic it might be attached to, look through the function list, Google for it on our documentation page.
Oh, you could Google it, I guess. Yeah, because did Google is searched, has it crawled your website with all that information?
Yeah, a lot of.
Okay.
If you just look for FileMaker and some functionality, you may just be pointed to the right plugin.
Okay. And then once again, Monkey Bread was a product of the year in 2018 and or 2019, something like that. Claris has recognized him as being fully awesome. So this guy on the screen is awesome. Go buy his product, make sure you have it, or give it to your customer, make them buy it, right? You don't want to buy it, have the customer buy it. It's their software. Bill it for them. And then
we'll watch WWDC keynote on Monday, and then see what features we could use for FileMaker.
Is that this coming Monday, or was it last Monday?
Yeah, next Monday.
This coming Monday, WWDC opening. Okay. Yeah, that would be interesting. What kind of new things they're doing? The stuff that I have wanted was the AR, like the measuring on the phone, where you could have like measure between two distances and get a distance and things like that. That would have been fun. But yeah, cool. All right, well, that's it for today, everyone. We greatly appreciate you. If you have questions about what we're doing or where we're going or what we can do to help you, send an email to support@rcconsulting.com. If you want to get a hold of Christian Schmidt, you can email him at probably support@monkeybreadsoftware.com or something like that. Does that sound about right? Let's see, how do you find him down here? Feedback, questions. Oh, we could type it on his website here. There you go. You can do that too. So Monkey Bread Software, awesome place. Great. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. Thank you, Christian.
Thanks for having me.
And the guys just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected, the quarterback. Great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Trying to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap, stands in, throws it left for Amendola, reaches up and snaps a high throw and lands inside the 10, rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.